On today's show, everything's good. It's a positive world, and we're living in it.
Coming up, we'll tell you why Moses Brown, if he played more, they might have won.
We'll talk about the Mavericks lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers, talk about why the Mavericks fell, why it was so bad, and we'll talk about what they need to change. Coming up on today's Locked On Mavs.
Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
The Dallas Mavericks are NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good!
And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Engstead, media member and coordinator for the Locked On Podcast Network. This episode is brought to you by Truebill. Truebill is the new app that helps you save money by helping you identify and stop paying for the subscriptions you don't want or need. You can even negotiate better deals on those you want to keep. Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen every single day. We are free and available on all platforms. Thanks for listening after a loss, especially. And joining me, as always, my co-host, contributor, and writer at Mavs.com, the beefy boulder, the one more thing king. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
All right, so downloads they're down after losses. That's a given.
The few, the proud, the listeners after losses.
But if you're listening after this loss, you're a real one. Like, hats off, tip.
Yeah,
my heart goes out to you. Let's just throw it out there right now. Worst loss of the season.
Is this
worse
100%.
than? Is this worse than the Denver loss? And I know we kind of tossed that around up in the press box tonight. You know, they finished with 75 points in that Denver game, but the Denver game, second night of a back-to-back, the altitude, all that different stuff. I think
Porzingis didn't play that game.
Yeah, KP didn't play. I think this surpassed the Denver game for me.
This was the Mavericks' worst loss of the season. All things considered, they had a day off. They had been home now. They had 3 days off before that Wizards game. They lost to the Wizards when they were home, so they've now been home for a while, right? There are really no rest excuses for this game at all. You're missing Willie Cauley-Stein because of an illness. Jalen Brunson's first game back from missing 2 games from injury, but that's not enough. That's not enough for them to lose like this, right? It's not enough for us to say, oh, well, you know, those 2 things happened. No, like, this is the worst loss for the Mavericks. They had a 98 offensive rating, and it only got boosted at the end there because in the fourth quarter, Boban came in and hit a 3 and did stuff that people like, but they didn't have it. I mean, this was absolutely the worst. Like, no Colin Sexton for the Cavs. Like, it just keeps adding up. But this was the worst loss for the Dallas Mavericks. Now, how did it get there? Sometimes I just like to pass the ball off to Isaac, like here Ezekiel Elliott, like just run with the ball, and sometimes I drop bombs on him like that one.
This is the equivalent of Luka being in the lane and throwing like a one-hander to Moses Brown's head and just like, hey, catch this ball. That's what you just did to me. Okay, let's just rewind. So it's before tip. We're both at
2019 or
Terrence Ross. We're before tip off. We're both in the arena for tonight's game. And first off, I just want to say, like, this game obviously has sucked, all the stuff. But getting to the one positive on a personal note for myself, probably you too, even though you didn't come up until the fourth because you're too cool sitting in your own cool media seat. I got to sit there and experience the game with Jonathan Tjarks tonight at the game. You guys know, Tjarks' story, fighting through cancer and stuff, but this dude loves Evan Mobley, and dude was like a Mobley apologist. I texted him earlier this morning. I was like, dude, you better see Mobley tonight in person. He's like, I'm going to be there. So just to watch it in the game and stuff with him, the biggest win of the night for me. But Jason Kidd announces that Moses Brown's starting at center. And I'm like, all right. I mean, Willie was out with a sickness and they go with Moses. And I mean, I thought it was kind of like a joke at first, but like they're really leaning into like the Mavs Twitter fans world here, because even, Mavs.com tweeting out hey, Mavs Twitter, this is for you. I was joking with Bobby before the game. Bobby does the in-game thing with, or before the pregame thing with Chris Arnold on the Jumbotron. He joked, he was like, Mavs Twitter, this is for you guys. Even Jason Kidd before the game has said the fans will be happy about Moses Brown starting. I'm like, okay, Jason Kidd's even leaning into the bit here that the fans and that a portion of Mavs fans on Twitter.com is wanting Moses Brown. And Moses Brown got the start. What letter grade would you give Moses Brown for this game?
F. I mean, I cannot put it a different way. It was not good for Moses Brown in his start. I mean, it was a little unfair to just throw him out there against a front line that's really good, like Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley. However, he still has to be graded on what he did and what he did out there. The first 3 plays of the game, I think, Jarrett Allen posted up.
Yeah,
like straight up posted up. ISO out. Clear everybody out. Post up Jarrett Allen on Moses Brown one-on-one, and Jarrett Allen scored on him all three times. Jarrett Allen finished the game with 28 points. That's his career high. He had 14 boards. He had 3 assists. He had a block. 12 of 17
literally a career night for Jarrett Allen.
Literally, yeah, career night for him. And you look at Moses Brown. He played just under 11 minutes, 4 fouls, just 2 boards, 2 points. Like it wasn't a good game for him. Now, he also hasn't played all season, and so I'm not getting too worked up about the way Moses Brown played in this game. But it just wasn't good.
No, and we're like laughing about it. He finished as a +2 net rating.
Do you want to play it?
I think we should, because Jason Kidd dropped a very profound quote post game about Moses Brown being a +2 in this game.
How do you explain this many players on the team?
Okay, well, it did not work at all. Okay. Something messed up with the audio, but
Locked on Mavs and Mavs.
Yeah, exactly.
Not working tonight.
This is basically how he said. He said he played great.
This is a positive world. We'll take the positive. He was +2.
This is a positive world. We'll take the positive. He was +2 in the game. Also, a couple weeks ago, Jason Kidd said that he doesn't care about single game plus minus. So that's how you know what this quote meant. But
well, it's a positive world. That's very sarcastic. So
oh, absolutely. And so yeah, Moses Brown was not the big takeaway from this game, though. Unless you want to go that direction, because the Mavericks they need a big man. If the Mavs had Jarrett Allen, I think they would win the title. Like, I kind of almost do think that. I joked about that with you and Sharks, but I do think that the Mavericks, if they had a big like that, it would change and fix so many different things. Their paint defense was awful. They've allowed 60 points in the paint over the last 2 games against the Wizards and the Cavs. They just cannot. The only time they can defend at the rim is when both Maxey and Porzingis are out there, and those 2 guys are both injury prone. Porzingis went out of this game with a right ankle sprain. We're not really sure exactly of the prognosis of him. He did not come back in the game. I expect him to miss the next game just out of sheer precaution, but we'll see with him. The Mavericks play the Pelicans the next 2 games on Wednesday and then on Friday, and so we'll see. But the Mavericks can't defend at all unless those 2 guys are both out there. And even then, they still struggle around the perimeter. And they were just uninspired in this game, too. I mean, there's so many things that we can point out in this game. This is the game of a million reasons, right? There's a million reasons why the Mavs lost this game, and all of them are valid.
Yeah, and the only reason I brought up the Moses thing, because it has been a talking point. Like, there has been, the Mavericks have a million centers on the roster, but everybody has their issues with all the centers. Like, Dwight Powell.
Well, there are issues with all the centers. It's not just because everyone says it. It's like there are.
No, I know that. And like Willie Cauley-Stein, there's been a smaller portion that has, clamored, like, give Moses Brown minutes. He should be playing more. You got your wish tonight. And now we see it. It's like, we love Moses, but Moses just isn't a starting caliber type center. I get he hasn't been playing, but he got worked a lot tonight. So,
yeah,
but he's not the reason they lost. So, no. I think actually coming up after a break, I think let's point out there's 3 things. The Mavericks struggle as far as a roster construction wise in 3 different areas, and all 3 of those areas all mixed together in this like perfect potion tonight that resulted in this bloodbath.
But before we do that, let me tell you about Truebill. Do you know why free trials renew without your consent? It's a business scam out to get you. Don't let greedy corporations pocket your money. Don't let the Paramount Pluses of the world like keep taking money from you, even though you have no idea what's on that streaming service or Netflix or whatever you got that you don't watch anymore. Truebill is the new app that helps you identify and stop paying for subscriptions you don't need, want, or simply forget about. On average, people save up to $720 a year with Truebill. Go check it out. Don't fall for subscription scams. Start canceling today at truebill.com/LockedOnNBA. Go right now, truebill.com/LockedOnNBA. NBA. It could save you thousands a year. Truebill.com/LockedOnNBA for you to save on all of those bills that keep piling up, they keep renewing without your consent, or you don't even remember you have them. It'll help you. Truebill.com/LockedOnNBA. All right, Isaac Harris, let's get into the rest of this game. There's a lot of things that we want to point to. We talked about the Moses Brown thing. I think we've gone over that. It wasn't good. It was an unfair, situation for him to be kind of put in his first game starting. I didn't expect a lot from him, especially when they first said that he was starting. It did seem like a bit that Jason Kidd was doing. There was even the back and forth with Brad Towns at the beginning of the game. I kind of just want to role play it. Pre-game exchange with Jason Kidd. This is straight from Brad Townsend, Mavs beat writer. Us. So who's going to start with Willie out? Do you really want to know now? That's my Jason Kidd voice. Yeah. Well, we're going to start Moses. Oh, okay. Is that a surprise? Yeah, it's going to excite a lot of fans. Keep the fans happy. That was the back and forth. Like, it literally seemed like a bit that they started him. I guess they just wanted to try him out there and not Dwight Powell or not do the Porzingis Maxey lineup. But yeah, so we've checked that box. We're done with that.
I was kind of surprised that Dwight didn't start. Willie was out with a sickness. This wasn't just a benching in this.
They put Dwight Powell out there for like 2 minutes and he got worked too. He was not going to be the answer. It's not like the Mavericks had an answer on the roster at this point.
No, but here's the thing. The three things I was alluding to before the break was there's three big weaknesses for this Mavs team as far as how the roster is constructed. Shooting, they're sucking right now shooting the basketball. They need more shooters on this team. They have a million centers, but not a really good center. And then a secondary creator. It's like,
it's all the things we've just been talking. I mean,
it's all
we've been talking about since 2019.
Yeah. It's all that was so well played. That was so good. But all three of those together, like mixed tonight. And it's like, you've seen, like, what was the final number? Like, I was in the press box and we were sitting there saying, okay, another missed three would happen. And then we were counting how many missed threes that were happening that were outside of Luka Doncic. So Luka went 7 for 11 from the 3-point line tonight. When you look at other Mavericks who hit 3-pointers, Dorian hit 2 and Maxey hit 2. Then
Boban
hit 1.
Hit the other one late in the game.
And
doesn't count.
Porzingis 0 for 4. Tim Hardaway 0 for 3. Maxey 2 for 7. Brunson 0 for 2. Bullock 0 for 3. Sterling Brown 0 for 1. Trey Burke 0 for 1. Like, this just isn't going to cut it. Like, you got to hit shots. And it's like, even Jason Kidd after the game was like, hey, we had, all of our, now I don't think all of their shots were open shots, but there were a decent amount of shots that were open and they just were missing the shots. So it was like that combination of, man, the shooters are just, like, Reggie Bullock is not playing good basketball right now. He's not hitting his shots.
No.
So the averages are down right now. The centers, they're rotating these guys out. Each one of them are getting worked. And then Luka, like, Jalen Brunson was his first game back after this foot injury, and he just didn't look right either. So you just saw all of their problems tonight in one game.
Yeah, it was a great, like, this was a symptom game, right? Like, here are all the symptoms for the reason why the Mavs struggle in certain games. Especially, you mentioned Jalen Brunson. Brunson had been good this year. He's coming off of an injury. He also struggles against length. He couldn't do all the stuff that he normally does against a team where he drives into the paint, turns around and fades away. He can't do that against Evan Mobley when he switches on you. You can't do that against, Ricky Rubio, who's a pretty good defender. Like, you just can't get away with that against some of these, players, or even with just Mobley and Allen out there, right? Like, you can't get away with some of that stuff with those two guys out there. And it's a look that the Mavericks don't have at this point, which they maybe they should, but yeah, it's all those issues and more. But
I mean, outside of Luka, I just did all the math there, but I list all of it. But outside of Luka, the Mavericks are 5 of 28 from 3. Like, there's
even counting Bobans.
Yeah, and that's counting Bobans. Like, that just can't work. And when you look at guys like Tim Hardaway and Porzingis and Reggie Bullock, like, they went 0 for 10 combined from 3. Like, that just can't happen. And Luka's like, he can, I mean, Luka went 7-11 tonight. I think there's some issues we could talk about. We've been talking about as far as his in-game shape. There's some issues as far as like his defense, driving to the basket some. He was kind of struggling to get past Laurie Markin at the time.
This game wasn't on Luka, though.
It's not, but he's not playing at the tip-top level of his game. But this isn't a Luka thing. Tonight was the whole I think Tim Cato had a tweet after the game. He's like, I'm paraphrasing, but this is the most hey, Luka needs help type of game that he's seen in a very long time. And I think that was a very accurate tweet right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So the thing about the shooting, though, and Jason Kidd actually brought this up in the game. We joked about his answer about Moses Brown, but I thought Jason Kidd said something smart after the game, that the Mavericks missing shots is also leading to them playing bad defense on the other end. Guys are hanging their head. Guys are getting upset with themselves. Guys are getting frustrated. Luka's getting frustrated. He's hitting all these guys with open shots, and then they miss these shots, and then you go down and you don't play transition defense. You don't play good defense at all. And it's really adding up. And he said, I think this is the first time I've heard Jason Kidd use negative language. We haven't heard him use negative language a lot. I was talking with Cato and Charks about this during the game, that Kidd has been so positive, like so incredibly positive about everything. Like,
This is a positive world.
and this was the one time I've heard him say our transition defense stunk. He used the word stunk. I was like, it did. And he talked about how missing these shots is affecting. So missing these shots is just affecting so many other areas of the game too that don't even correlate in your, on paper, like statistically. And so the missing shots is different. So now, why are they missing shots, right? Like that's the crazy part. People asked Jason Kidd after the game about that too. He didn't have a good answer. No one has a good answer. It's not like these are bad shooters taking bad shots, right? This is not like when Tim Hardaway Jr. first joined the Mavericks. Remember that all the talk we had about the types of shots that he was taking, the way that he was taking these shots. He was taking these contested mid-range shots that just weren't high quality looks. These guys are taking high quality looks, and these guys are also both career, like good to great three-point shooters. Bullock has been a 40% three-point shooter for years. Tim Hardaway Jr. has been a 40% three-point shooter the last 2 years. Dorian, 40% three-point shooter the last couple of years. Maxey, same thing. Porzingis has been a solid three-point shooter his career. It's not like these guys are coming in and they're bad three-point shooters taking bad shots. There's just something is going on with these guys shooting. It's a plague almost. It's just coming in and guys start missing shots, and then everybody starts missing shots.
Yeah, and I think, you listen to other podcasts, you talk to people around the league, one of the things, and once again, it's hard to even talk about this stuff for people not to come after you and be like, oh, it's just excuses and stuff. But you look at averages around the league, they're down compared to the last few years. I'm sure a lot of listeners to this pod listen to Bob Vulgaris and Bill Simmons on that pod the other day, and Bob was talking about how he thinks a lot of the reason why these percentages are down is because fans are back in the arena, and how that's affecting things differently compared to not having fans in the arena over the past few years, and that. So, and then the whole conversation around the new ball and how that's affecting players. Some players, I think even Mark Cuban in that same Q&A talked about how players with flatter arches on their shots and stuff, it's affecting them more. So I think that's a collective thing, but that's for the entire league. It's not just Mavericks focus on that. They're just not hitting shots right now, and sometimes there's just no. I mean, we could sit here and break it down on Tim Hardaway's shot. I don't think his form's looking good. Some of the movement on some stuff. We could sit here and go but we can't control that. So
people say it's a make or miss league. Here we are again. This is the miss, right? Sometimes they make them, sometimes they miss. They've just been missing more often than they've been making them. You know what I wish that the ball would affect? Opposing players shooting free throws in the fourth quarter, because dang it, if we haven't gotten free Chick-fil-A yet in the AAC, anybody that was there.
We got pluckers though.
Shout out to the people that I met tonight. There was a guy pregame I saw. There was a guy, Eddie, that I met. Shout out to you guys that came up to me during the game. But we didn't get free Chick-fil-A. If a opposing player in the fourth quarter misses 2 free throws in a row, on the same trip, then the whole crowd gets Chick-fil-A, and that was the only thing to cheer about at the end of this game.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the crowd in this, because I tweeted this at one point. I think this was the first time in a very, very long time that I heard the crowd in the AAC boo, and like booing against the Mavericks. And
okay, was it more than one moment? Because I don't know if I heard more than one moment. there's a moment where they were booing, but they were booing I thought they were booing a call.
No. No, they were booing. There was a time where they threw, I think it was an oop to Jared Allen. The Cavs just made this huge run. I mean, it was just like a couple embarrassing plays back to back. Jason Kidd called a timeout, and there was a pretty hefty boo in the arena, and that was telling. I mean, I just haven't seen that. I'm trying to think the last time I've heard the home crowd boo, and it kind of deserved it, right? Like I get it. Like I mean, you're getting beat by. I mean, they were down by 29 at one point to Cleveland at home. And I know this Cleveland team it's a fun team and stuff. I like a lot of the guys on the roster, but it wasn't a very good, performance. That's the understatement, but
it was not. All right, coming up, let's go around the rest of the team. Let's talk about some of the things that stood out. Let's maybe see if we can find some positives.
This is a positive world.
Let's see if we can talk about some positives about Luka's play, about the way Porzingis played. We'll talk about some of that, how they're using these guys. We'll talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about betonline.ag. It's the fastest and easiest way to put down some money on sports. Let's just go through the night in the NBA on Tuesday night coming up. There's a couple of games on the docket. We got Knicks Nets. Ooh, the Subway Series, or I guess whatever you want to call it in basketball. Nets 6-point favorite. They're at home, but does home really matter if it's Brooklyn, New York? I guess not. Warriors at Suns. Whew, that's going to be a good game. Warriors 2.5-point underdog on the road to the Suns. Whoa, that one's interesting. If you want to put some money down on the Suns, or if you think that the Warriors should be favored and are going to win this game, go ahead, go to betonline.ag. Use the promo code LOCKEDON. You will get a 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Go ahead and check it out. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, Isaac Harris. Let's continue talking about this game. We've been talking about some of the negatives. Some of the positives. I thought Dorian Finney-Smith had a decent game. He missed 4 threes, but he hit 2 of them. He was the only guy besides Luka and Maxey to hit multiple threes. He had 2 steals. He had a couple of assists. He finished with 14 points. He just continues to do some positive things. And it's, when people say, oh, the Mavericks need better talent, they need better players on the roster. It's, again, going back to the thing we've talked about over and over. They need a second best player or a third best player, right? They need somebody to fill in and slot into those spots and push everybody down. Dorian still has a role, and he can do some things in this league.
Oh, yeah. Love Dorian. Love the effort they plays with. Like you said, he had 14 points in this game. And, he was the only player outside of Luka who, besides Maxey, hit at least 2 threes in this game. So you're always going to get the effort out of Dorian. I think the only positive of the night that I can pull from this game is the candidate right now for dunk of the year.
Oh,
this was before the game was like completely, gone, but the Kristaps Porzingis dunk on Jared Allen, I was beyond hyped. I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, biggest KP moment since he's been in Dallas. The pump fake on Mobley on the perimeter, the drive, just the audacity to dunk on Jared Allen that way. I can't sit here and say he ended his career because Jared Allen had a career night, but it was a nasty play by KP.
Absolutely. It looked like his arm, somebody tweeted this, I can't remember. It looked like his arm was CGI because just the way he jumped from the circle, if the circle around like the free throw line, he jumped from that circle and then cocked his arm back like he normally does on dunks, and it just looked like his arm was fake. And then he jammed right on him, and he just gets so high on those because he has such a long wingspan, and he's already up there anyway. So if he jumps at all and gets any air, all of a sudden he's jamming it down. But yeah, Porzingis, I thought defensively, Porzingis looked good. He had 4 blocks in this game. Yeah. He was the only one really putting up any kind of resistance against those bigs. And so I thought that was another positive of this game, that we're seeing a better defensive KP. Now, everyone else needs to step up defensively. And there's still moments when KP didn't play good defense and then 3-point shooting and all that kind of stuff. But if we're getting a good defensive KP, there's still a good team in this team somewhere, right? It just didn't show up tonight.
Yeah, KP had a sequence there where he had 2 back-to-back blocks. He had a kind of 2-handed block on Mobley, turned around, had a swat at the rim. I thought it was an amazing sequence.
Even that dunk, that huge dunk on Jared Allen came off of a block that he had on the other end.
Yeah, that's true. And I know you kind of threw it in there in the first segment there, but one of the bigger takeaways of this game is KP getting hurt again. And,
Yeah.
it was just this weird play. It happened right at the end of the third quarter. I don't know what the broadcast, had of it, but as soon as he kind of went in for this block, it was kind of, he kind of hit Maxey, turned the foot a little bit, but we just, from our angle, we were just looking at KP. He was kind of under the basket, just sitting there kind of hunched over, looking at his leg, his knee. And we were like, holy crap, KP got hurt. But there was only 1 second left. So they just passed the ball in. 1 second went out. And then, it was the end of the quarter. So it probably went to commercial break. And then we were just watching KP, and he just kind of just like looked at his leg, and then just kind of casually limped over to the, the bench there. They took him back to the locker room. Then, they said it was a sprained ankle after the game. So just anything, obviously, injury-wise with KP, we have to note it. We'll see how long it takes. 7-footer sprained ankle. We'll see. Yeah, unfortunate.
Yeah, that one stinks. And then every other part about KP's game was not great besides the ones we just mentioned.
No, he had some bad shot selection choices. I mean, he took that shot from the logo early in the shot clock of that possession. But you know what? Some of those decisions, though, this is what when we go back to these things that the Mavericks are struggling with, the secondary creator, some of these bad shots that KP was taking, it reminded me of this conversation or that quote that he had after the game back, what was it, last week? He was like, hey, it was when Luka wasn't playing. He was like, hey, sometimes we run the pick and roll so much, and if Brunson doesn't get that, can get that quick shot, or I don't have the quick post up, then we're just out there. We're just trying to figure things out. And I feel like it's those type of plays that they're just kind of figuring crap out, that he's ISO and Evan Mobley doing a sidestep, long two, and he's missing, but it's like, all right, well, I got to create something. If Brunson isn't getting to the lane, then I got to try to do something. He took that shot at the, at the logo there. I'm pretty sure both of those was when Luka was out of the game. So just some kind of bad choices on him tonight. I know I said the only positive was KP's dunk, but Luka has some highlights tonight. He had some threes tonight that were incredible. I mean, he hit 7 threes in this game. So some of those threes were just nasty.
Halfway through the game, I started thinking, or in the first quarter, I started thinking, if Luka isn't making all these threes, how badly are the Mavs losing this game? It's just, he's the only thing that keeps him in some of these games. And it takes back to, this is a symptom of all the Mavs problems, is that Luka is the only reason why they stay in games sometimes.
I thought he was going to get a tech too. He was asking for it a few times. And it was Tyler Ford, ref in this game.
Yep.
Luka nemesis.
As soon as Chris Arnold announced Tyler Ford, I looked over at Kevin Gray and I said, oh, Tyler Ford, here we go. This game's going to be nuts.
Yep. Same thing. So,
yeah, but Luka, 25, 10, and 10 in this game. Just 4 turnovers as well. 7 of 11 from 3. I mean, he went into the line and missed 4 free throws. Of the only 4 that he took, he missed all 4 of them. Two trips to the line, goose egg on both of them. And that's the only negative you can come up from his game, I think.
And I want to praise him this too. Something that I think is underrated for Luka and I get he's been playing professional basketball for so long, so it's such a young age, but he always has just it's not the most like sexy quotes for us as far as media and as far as what we do at our job, but he always has the right answers, I feel like, as far as post game. And he's already got the vet answers down, because I would be so pissed if I was him in a game like this. They're like, he hit so many open guys for so many open threes that were just bricks. And Luka, no matter the game in which his teammates misses, he was even asked directly about it after the game tonight. He's like, yeah, we just got to be better. He's always saying, we got to be better. He's always saying, and I get it. Some of you are saying, oh, what's he going to, he's not going to just throw his teammates under the bus. No, most players won't do that, but not most players will just include like, hey, it's me, like part of, it's us as a team. He's just really mastered that already. And you could tell he's been coached at such a young age, how to deal with media. He never has a quote out of the first 3 or 4 years that comes across in a way, not that I can remember. I could be, now correct me if I'm wrong, but not that I can remember, that you could take out of context a little bit and be like, dang, did he just take a shot at his teammates? I don't remember any of those. And that's something to praise for a 22-year-old.
Yep, he was out there. His dad was there, so we know that Luka may play well in front of his dad, but not as much as Tim Hardaway does. It's not.
Where's Tim's dad? We got to get him back.
Yeah, where's Senior? We need Senior back. Tim Hardaway Jr. needs Senior. He's down bad right now for sure.
Struggling this year.
We got to see Josh Green.
So who else did we get to see?
Boban hit a 3. Boban was doing his thing. We also, at the beginning of the fourth quarter, got to see the Mavs go small ball again with Maxey at the 5, like we talked about on yesterday's. It was just too late. The Mavericks just tried it too late, and they didn't have enough. They were already uninspired by that point, and just the effort wasn't there, and it didn't work at that point. They're already down 20. So
yeah, and that's something that to be thinking about. Like, what does Dallas do against New Orleans? Like, let's just assume that KP doesn't play on Wednesday night. What will we see? Will we see, Willie, Moses, Dwight back at the center spot?
And it's Jonas Valanciunas, who just hit like a million threes against whoever they played tonight.
Yeah, so will they try to go small? Will they put Maxey at the 5? We'll have to see what they try to pull off with that.
Per ESPN stats and info, Jonas Valanciunas joined Steph Curry as the only players this season with 35 points, 10 boards, and 7 threes in a single game.
He had 35 points tonight?
He hit 7 threes. Jonas Valanciunas hit 7 threes in a game on
Oh
Monday.
my gosh.
And Mavs are about to play him on Wednesday.
I think my son just woke up and is screaming about.
Did he say, "My name is Jonas"? Is that what he screamed out really loud? There you go, guys. That's the game. Comment below some negatives. Comment below.
They already have, Nick. They already have.
I'm sure they're already there. Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen every single day. We will be back post game to talk about the Pelicans game. We'll also be back with another episode tomorrow, guys. Thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.